First at 4, Wink News is staying on top of Hurricane Matthew. This is a live look from Tybee Island in Georgia off of Savannah, where Matthew is nearing.
And it's still threatening such historic cities as Savannah, Georgia, and Charleston, South Carolina. Inches of rain are expected and a potential storm surge of up to 9 feet is possible.
Nearly 500,000 people told to evacuate the Jacksonville area, and another 500,000 were under orders to clear out in Georgia. And take a look at this video we just got from St. Augustine. You can see the water is nearly up to that set of stairs there at the historic inn, and people watching the water from the front porch.
Wink News is covering Hurricane Matthew from all parts of Florida. Wink News reporter Adam Wright standing by in Melbourne. We'll hear from Adam a little bit later, but first we start with Wink News meteorologist Scott Zedeker, who's been guiding us through the hurricane. Scott?
Thank you, Bob and Amanda. Here's the latest information on Hurricane Matthew as of 4 o'clock. Now, earlier it became a Category 3 hurricane. It has weakened a little bit, but still providing North Florida as well as Georgia and South Carolina with a lot of wind and a lot of storm surge that is expected. Now, moving to the north at 12 miles an hour, you can see the wind at 115 miles an hour. There is the forecast cone, once again kind of paralleling the coast as it works a little closer to Georgia, South Carolina, then North Carolina, and that onshore wind will provide them with a lot of storm surge. There is the center circulation. You can see the bands moving onshore in Jacksonville. Some portions of southern Jacksonville already getting 10 inches of rain. You combine that with the storm surge, that's a onshore wind, and you could see that wind from North Jacksonville, I'd say just about Jacksonville, all the way north into the Savannah area, even into South Carolina. That onshore wind will bring in that storm surge, as Bob said, as you heard, up to 10 feet of storm surge possible in these locations as Matthew slowly moves off to the north and eventually off to the north and northeast. Wind right now in Jacksonville, 33 miles an hour sustained, but they've had some wind gusts in the 50s. You can see the last report of 53 miles an hour, that the current wind gust this last hour. There is the wind field, hurricane force wind just touching the beach locations right now, just to the south of Jacksonville. As I advance, as you can see later this evening, they're going to be dealing with hurricane force wind most likely at Jack's Beach, as well as tropical storm force wind in some of the inland communities there. And then as Matthew parallels the coast, that hurricane force wind will follow all the way up to Savannah and Charleston, all the way through tomorrow morning. So when I come back, we'll have a little more on Matthew. We'll talk about what we're going to expect here in Southwest Florida for the weekend. Looking pretty good. I'll have that full forecast coming right up.
Wink News has extensive coverage of Hurricane Matthew from all sides of the state. On Florida's Space Coast, hundreds of people called 911 as the hurricane pounded the coastline.
Wink News reporter Lois Tomey joins us now in studio and shows us the damage in Daytona Beach.
Well, Hurricane Matthew hit Daytona Beach hard this morning. We watched surf like this get rougher and rougher during our continuing coverage this morning. And check this out. This is what happened when that surf reached the seawall. The water flowed right over it and into the street. And look how high the water got underneath the entryway to the beach. And there's all that sea foam that was also blowing ashore, flooding the streets. But water wasn't the only danger in Daytona Beach. Look at this. Fierce winds sent huge sheets of metal twisting, tumbling, and flying through the air. The wind pushed big dumpsters into the street, too. And take a look at this. That roof just toppled over, and as palm trees were just swaying in the wind. There are blown transformers, fires, and downed power lines and trees all over. The Orlando Sentinel reports emergency crews couldn't get into this area this afternoon because it is still considered too dangerous. However, emergency crews did use an armored vehicle for one life-threatening medical emergency. Amanda?
Lois, thank you. Hurricane Matthew ripped banners off of billboards, knocked down signs, and ripped trees from the roots in West Palm Beach. Crews worked almost immediately after the hurricane passed by to clear the roads for people this morning. The hurricane also knocked out power for tens of thousands in Palm Beach County. One family Wink News spoke with said they were supposed to go to a wedding today. That obviously did not happen.
So we found out, I think it was yesterday, that everything was going to be canceled. It was supposed to be a beach wedding, and not so much a beach wedding anymore.
At one point, meteorologists recorded wind gusts at 120 miles an hour in Juno Beach, just north of West Palm. Wink News just checked. More than 1 million people in Florida are still without power.
And right now, plenty of people from Florida's East Coast are returning to their homes. People are packing up and heading out of Clewiston. Cars now fill the road with thousands of people heading toward the East Coast, which is a much different sight than yesterday. People say they fled to Hendry County in fear for their safety.
This was available out of when he called Tuesday, and we live in a manufactured home over in Indiantown, Indianwood. And we left earlier, which we know what it's like over there from Hurricane Wilma.
People who are heading out of Clewiston today say they felt fortunate to wake up with less than expected damage. For counties like Hendry, they say they're anticipating a lot of reports of wind damage. Lee County has closed the shelters at Alico Arena and the Estero Recreation Center. They tell Wink News 360 evacuees stayed at the shelters, 260 of those at Alico Arena and another 100 at the Estero Rec Center. 34 pets also stayed at the Rec Center. All of the evacuees were from the East Coast.
Let's take you to a live look at traffic in Southwest Florida and a look at Alligator Alley. The Florida Highway Patrol says there are, of course, people going home, going back over to the East Coast now. Many drivers are headed back to check on any possible damage to their homes. Wink News has learned all flights at Orlando International Airport are canceled because of the hurricane. The airport released a statement saying it hopes to resume operations tomorrow. Customers should contact their specific airline if they have questions. Palm Beach International is open. Fort Lauderdale International says it's resuming all flights tomorrow. And Miami International is reporting some delays today.
And in the last few hours, Wink News reporter Kristen Sanchez brought you an update on Hurricane Matthew and which local shelters were closing live on Facebook. As soon as we learn something new, you can count on us to put it live on our Facebook page. Just go to Facebook and search Wink News. And Wink News is staying on top of Hurricane Matthew and where it's going. Wink News has a team of experienced meteorologists tracking the latest developments from the National Hurricane Center. You can count on us to post anything new that we learn on our Facebook page. Or if you haven't already, go ahead and download our Wink News app. We'll be sending out new information through push alerts as soon as we get it.
Just into the Wink newsroom, we're learning more about the victim in this deadly crash in Cape Coral. Police say 33-year-old Linda Ocean was killed when her car, a truck, and another car all collided in the 2000 block of Northeast Pine Island Road. The crash caused her sedan to roll over. The other two drivers were treated at the scene. And a heartbreaking Wink News follow-up. A 6-year-old Immokalee boy is dead. A pickup truck hit him this morning near Immokalee Drive while he was walking to his bus stop. Wink News reporter Jennifer Jones spoke with neighbors who say something needs to be done before someone else loses their life.
A 6-year-old died today, and it's like, wow. I feel sorry.
Just after 7 this morning, the boy was walking to the bus stop when he was hit and killed by this pickup truck. It happened on North 19th Street near Immokalee Drive.
It's dangerous. They need a better bus stop or sidewalk. There's like at least 50 kids that get up on this bus every day.
Anna Martinez lives in the area and knows the boy's family.
And something needs to be done ASAP, because we can't afford to lose another child. Look what happened, And that's just because they were going to school. Imagine them playing around.
Florida Highway Patrol is investigating the crash. The driver was checked out by Collier County EMS and says he didn't see the boy walking in the road.
Just breaks my heart. It could have been my child or anybody else's child.
In Immokalee, Jennifer Jones, Wink News Now.
FHP is looking to talk to any witnesses to find out more about what happened. So far, no charges have been filed against the driver.
Mark Severs is getting a new lead attorney. A Jacksonville lawyer has agreed to represent Severs, who's accused of planning the death of his wife, Dr. Teresa Severs. Mark Severs is facing the death penalty. Last month, a judge said his legal team needed to get a lawyer who was death penalty certified. So Greg Mazur stepped up. Severs will be back in court on Tuesday to ask the state to pay for his new lawyer and to drop the death penalty.
Back to our big story. All eyes on Hurricane Matthew right now as it lashes Florida's East Coast.
That's right, we're live on Melbourne Beach, which is still seeing the effects of Matthew. We'll have a complete report just minutes away.
And we'll talk a little more about Hurricane Matthew, where it's heading, and we'll take a look at the future model plots as well coming up. Also, it's the weekend here in Southwest Florida. How do we shape up? I'll let you know in that 7-day forecast.
Now at 4, you're taking a live look at Jacksonville Beach. You can barely see anything there as conditions are deteriorating. Wink News reporter Morgan Francis is on her way to Jacksonville Beach, and we'll have a live report later tonight.
Yeah, I can't make out anything from that picture, and concerns about storm surge.
St. Johns River already had 4 feet of storm surge, and it's still coming in. So they are dealing with a lot of storm surge in Jacksonville. And some wind gusts. Jacksonville International Airport had a wind gust at 64 miles an hour, sustained at 55. St. Augustine earlier today had a wind gust at 76 miles an hour, and they're seeing sustained wind at 63 miles an hour. So still a mess in the northeastern portion of Florida. There is the latest as of 4 o'clock as Matthew moves now to the north at 12 miles an hour. Wind 115 miles an hour, still a major hurricane, a Category 3 hurricane. There is the cone. Not much change since the last couple of revisions there, but it still continues to hug the coastline, which is the worst case scenario for a lot of these communities from Jacksonville to Savannah all the way up into Charleston, South Carolina. As all that storm surge, all the onshore wind will be dealing with those folks up and down the coast, as well as all the way into the Carolinas. And then you could see the 5-day forecast cone puts it out back out in the Atlantic, possibly as a tropical storm. I do want to show you the latest model runs here, and there is some big disagreement. Some of the models move it up toward Bermuda into the northern Atlantic. Some others kind of do that little pinwheel, pushing it back down just off the east coast of Florida. Let's look at the best of the best models. These are the consensus models, and you can see how they keep Matthew moving off to the back off to the east, and then eventually off to the north. Some of them kind of move it down and then push it back out. So I do not think this is going to be doing a loop, and if it was, it'd just be some moisture moving our way over the Bahamas and possibly South Florida as a remnant low, or just some moisture left over. But the models are in pretty good agreement there, the best of the best, moving it back out into the Atlantic and weakening it considerably. There is Doppler radar. This is the couple-hour time lapse here, and you can see how it is moving off to the north. There's Jacksonville, there's Brunswick, and you can see the onshore wind. Remember, it's counterclockwise around the low, so all that wind is being pushed along the coast, and that's why they're seeing the storm surge there. It's offshore, south of Jacksonville now, so no more storm surge south of Jacksonville as Matthew continues to move off to the north and eventually off to the north and northeast. There's Charleston. You can see all the rain moving on shore as well. For us here in southwest Florida, it's looking good. Had a few sprinkles early this morning, but that's really about it. It is dry, and we are going to dry things out as we move through the rest of the evening into the overnight period. Temperatures this evening still in the 80s with some breezy weather. We had some wind gusts in the low to mid 30s today, and that continues. So that westerly wind, 15 to 20 miles an hour right now. Sunset coming up at 7:07, but under that mostly cloudy sky and breezy conditions will be with us through the next several hours and into the overnight period. Right now, the wind is sustained anywhere from 10, 15, even 20 miles an hour across the area. Remember, yesterday at this time, we were talking about maybe the high tides running a little higher. Well, the high tides occurred this morning. We had low tide right around lunchtime. We're entering a high tide cycle, so we're going to keep an eye on the coastal communities. Right now, we were thinking anywhere from a foot to maybe 2 feet above average with this onshore wind, a sustained wind anywhere from 15 to 20 miles an hour. So we'll see if some of those locations we do see some higher tides than usual. Right now, we're looking at some wind gusts in the mid to upper 20s right now. We're seeing a wind gust currently at 24 miles an hour at Page Field and 24 at the Naples Airport as well. There's our live sky cam. Notice the clouds. Is trying to see some peaks of sunshine through some of those clouds. Not too bad, 85 degrees if you're out and about today. Feeling pretty good with that breeze. West-northwesterly breeze right now at 17 miles an hour. All right, get ready for lower humidity this weekend. There's our future track model. Pick it up right now. And there's that westerly and northwesterly wind throughout the overnight period. First thing tomorrow morning, we are going to wake up with a few clouds, maybe a shower or two, but then we're going to really dry things out, not only tomorrow, but for Sunday as well. Sunday, the wind becomes a little more northerly and northeasterly, so get ready for some lower humidity Sunday afternoon, especially Monday on Columbus Day. Looking very nice as we work our way through the weekend with temperatures close to 90 degrees, 85 degrees on Monday. And look at that, we're going to wake up with temperatures in the upper 60s and upper 60s not only Monday, but Tuesday morning as well.
All right, thank you, Scott. Wink News continues team coverage now. Hurricane Matthew caused some damage in Melbourne on Florida's Space Coast. So let's go now live to Wink News reporter Adam Wright on Melbourne Beach. Adam?
Yeah, here live on Melbourne Beach, we're still experiencing some strong winds. This is the first time today that people have been able to get to the beach. The bridge to the beach just opened a few hours ago, and some people are out here enjoying the breeze. There are some people surfing. As you can see, the effects of Matthew. There are some big waves out here. But let's go ahead and take a look at some video from earlier this morning. Here on the mainland in Melbourne, the winds really started to pick up around 6 o'clock this morning. But when later in the morning when the sun came up, there was only some minor damage from at least what we could see. Some trees snapped and there were down power lines. A lot of people are still without power here, but people who live here tell us they do feel lucky.
Last night it was rough. Last night was really rough because of the fact that you kept hearing tree branches breaking down and hitting like the side of the house or whatever, but luckily none of our neighbors or myself had any like severe damage because we all prepared.
Just a short time ago on our way over the bridge to the island here, there was a small part fairly heavy damage. We'll have that brand new video for you later on Wink News at 5 o'clock. For now, we're live on Melbourne Beach. Adam Wright, Wink News now.
Adam, thank you. Wink News is the weather authority, and stunning video and images from Hurricane Matthew are pouring into the newsroom.
When we come back, we'll take a look at the most dramatic scenes that thousands of you are sharing on social media.
And taking you live now to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, where it's overcast, and we're tracking Hurricane Matthew's movements as it continues to stalk the eastern seaboard. We'll be right back.
Now live at 4, let's take another live look at Tybee Island, where you can see the rain on the lens and we're watching those waves crash up on the shore now. Tybee Island is under an evacuation order, but we've been monitoring this and it seems like dozens of people have decided to stay and try to ride out the storm. So we'll be checking in periodically, and we are constantly posting updates to the Wink News Facebook page. If you have not already, you can also download the Wink News app, and we will send push alerts, all of the latest information directly to your phone. We're seeing some other incredible images on social media of the storm pounding the East Coast.
Yeah, the photos of the damage, strong winds, waves, and flooding can reach millions almost instantly. Wink News reporter Nicole Valdez joins us live in the studio with some of the most compelling pictures you've seen.
Yeah, Bob, Amanda, we've seen hundreds of videos pouring into Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, everywhere right now. Some of the images you've shared showing the immense power and impact of Matthew. Let's take a look at some of the most popular videos on social media right now. Take a look at that. This was taken on Paradise Island in the Bahamas just a few days ago when Matthew touched down in that area. And look at this storm victim. It almost looks like he's floating. That's how strong those winds are pushing against him. This video now has more than 16 million views, and that's from the Weather Channel. Now, this Florida video was taken on South Tropical Trail in Merritt Island. One woman says she started recording when she saw power lines right next to her home explode as wind and rain pummeled that area overnight. This tweet has almost 500 shares. Next, check this out. A group of people stuck inside a bed and breakfast in St. Augustine as storm surge flooded the streets below them. More than 20 people, including children, were stranded in there. This video was actually taken by one of our affiliates in that area, Action News Jacksonville. One of their reporters made sure everybody inside was okay. This video now has more than 1,000 retweets.
Oh my God. Oh my gosh, guys, we should back away. Yeah, I know. Well, we were.
And look at those waves. This storm surge in Ormond Beach and Daytona Beach. You could hear that group of people behind there watching and reacting to all of those waves washing up on shore. Now, if you want to see some more of these incredible videos and photos of the storm yourself, we have a full gallery of photos on our website, winknews.com. You can also visit our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter to see more of these amazing moments. Amanda, Bob, back to you.
All right, thank you. Southwest Florida can't seem to catch a break from toxic algae.
Coming up, Wink News News shows you where red tide's washing ashore right now. You'll want to hear this before you make your weekend plans.
And a bizarre theft in Lee County caught on camera. A man accused of stealing hundreds of dollars worth of produce. Wink News has the story that has people wondering why. That's ahead.
From Southwest Florida's news leader, this is Wink News, live at 4.
Now at 4:30, red tide. Take a look at this. Dead fish are washing ashore on all of Collier County's beaches. This problem started to pop up this morning.
And crews are still cleaning up some of the mess right now. Wink News reporter Olivia Mancino is live from Collier County. And Olivia, what's it like out there?
Well, Collier County got to Vanderbilt Beach pretty quickly. There's not too many fish here left on the shore, but what is left lingering is the smell, and beachgoers say they can barely stand it. Thousands of fish are washing ashore all along Collier County beaches.
Then I thought, well, maybe it was because of the hurricane.
These four sisters came down to Southwest Florida for the weekend, and little did they know they'd be greeted by a sickening smell of fish.
It smells like overly, like really bad calamari that's just too old. You should have thrown it away a long time ago.
Red tide is caused by the bloom of a toxin-producing algae that stuns the nervous system in fish. The NOAA Weather Service issued an advisory for people with respiratory issues because the smell can cause coughing and wheezing.
Start coughing almost like you have asthma or something, but I don't have asthma.
Red tide can also cause issues for anyone with sensitive skin, so it's best they stay away from affected beaches until everything is cleaned up. Naples Natural Resource Manager says, we have seen most likely the brunt of the dead fish kill. However, there could be more fish coming washing ashore in the next couple weeks, so be advised if you're planning a beach weekend. We're live in Collier County. Olivia Mancino, Wink News now.
Olivia, thank you. Now live at 4:30, Wink News continues its coverage of Hurricane Matthew. This is a live look at downtown Jacksonville, where Matthew's approaching. You can count on Wink News to stay on top of any new developments with Hurricane Matthew.
New information on Wink News, more devastation from Hurricane Matthew in Haiti as the death toll increases. Reuters reports more than 800 people are dead. Rescue crews say many died from falling debris as winds of 145 miles an hour tore through the area on Tuesday. Victims of Hurricane Matthew are in desperate need of blood. One blood donation centers are back open today, and they urge you to donate. One Blood says they'll take any type of blood, but they especially need O negative and O positive. One Blood also needs platelets and plasma.
Now, earlier today, Wink News was just a few miles away from Hurricane Matthew's eye wall. Wink News meteorologist Matt Devitt was there covering the damage in Cocoa Beach. Take a listen.
And folks, you can still see we still have some significant wind out here, probably gusting around 50 to, at times, 65 miles an hour on the back end of Matthew. We actually have what looks to be a power company already in the elements trying to get a couple people who lost power back up. You talk about working hard in the elements, they are already doing that.
They are working in some tough conditions, especially with a lot of the live wires that are out in the roads.
And people in those areas are feeling very fortunate because the eye wall has stayed off the coast. Now, if it would have made, landfall there would have been a lot more problems.
Yeah, there sure would have. Hurricane Matthew is moving north, just skimming Florida's east coast. This is an ongoing situation, and Wink News promises to monitor Matthew and where it's going. The hurricane is expected to move closer to Jacksonville in the next few hours. Wink News reporter Morgan Francis is on her way there, so count on Wink News to bring you the latest from the northeast coast of Florida.
And right now, the Fort Myers Police Department is searching for this vehicle in connection to a homicide. They say they responded to a gunshot call last night and found a man suffering from a gunshot wound. He died at the scene and has now been identified as 22-year-old Geraldo Olvera. Now, police want your help locating this car. It's a teal Hyundai Sonata, and the model year is believed to be between 2007 and 2010. If you have any information, contact Crime Stoppers at 1-800-780-TIPS.
At 4:30 and only on Wink, a local business burglarized and ransacked, and it's all caught on camera. Wink News reporter Taylor Bisacki spoke with the store manager for more.
The manager of Paradise Produce says his business looked like an easy target to this thief, except he was caught on camera several different times.
Found the place ransacked and was kind of mad, was wondering what happened, so I went in the office, checked out the camera, and seen a gentleman come in here and was shopping, looked like.
Police say the thief, known as Ian Lupsky, came into the store 3 different times, starting at 1:30 in the morning. In the video, you can see him loading up a shopping basket. He leaves, but comes back again, this time with gloves.
He vandalized the place after he had came in here. He had poured olive oil all over the floor, all over my equipment. Then he tried to clean up after himself. He found a bottle of bleach back there, and I guess he went to the cash register, to my machinery and all, and tried to clean up after himself. You feel violated, for sure. I mean, this is hard work. We're here every day, 7 days a week. You know, like I said, 5:30 in the morning till 6 at night. You know, this is our livelihood.
Deputies say he stole a load of food items, a credit card machine, and a security camera, but he didn't take them very far.
My father had actually found it in the dumpster while the detectives were here.
A bizarre sequence of events. He's even seen circling the business after walking out. Lee County Sheriff's Office deputies arrested Lupsky just a few hours later. In Lee County, Taylor Bisacki, Wink News Now.
The store recovered almost all of the stolen goods.
Coming up, Wink News is tracking Hurricane Matthew's every move. Wink News meteorologist Scott Zedeker has an update in just 10 minutes.
In Wink News Campaign Central this afternoon, the second presidential debate is just days away. Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump kept a close eye on Hurricane Matthew today while they prep for the next showdown coming up on Sunday. Wink News reporter Craig Boswell has more from the White House.
The National Border Patrol Council endorsed Donald Trump this morning during a roundtable discussion at the Republican nominee's campaign headquarters. The group talked about their concerns on immigration and claimed border agents are being directed to ignore immigrant criminal records.
They're saying immigration is so tied up with trying to get the people that are in the waiting list, hurry up and get them their immigration status corrected, make them citizens so they can go ahead and vote before the election.
Exactly who gets to vote will be under the microscope for the next 4 weeks. Absentee ballots are being cast in Wisconsin, but today Republican Governor Scott Walker announced issues with how the state's voter ID law was being enforced at the Department of Motor Vehicles. In Florida, where Hurricane Matthew has forced millions to evacuate, Republican Governor Rick Scott rejected a request from Hillary Clinton's campaign to extend the state's voter registration deadline.
Clinton has no public event scheduled while she prepares for Sunday's debate, where her emails will likely come up after the State Department Friday releases about 270 additional pages.
The emails are from a private server she used while she was Secretary of State. The State Department says a significant number of the emails are near duplicates of previously released documents. The agency has been ordered to release 3 more batches of emails before the November 8th election. A new Quinnipiac University national poll gives Clinton a 5-point lead over Trump, in large part due to strong support from women and non-white voters.
Craig Boswell, Wink News Now.
Tomorrow, Donald Trump heads to Wisconsin, where for the first time he will campaign alongside House Speaker Paul Ryan. Hillary Clinton has no scheduled events.
Well, dealing with stress like a hurricane can be hard on you and your employer.
Now, new technology is detecting stress to help you. Wink News explains up ahead.
And when I come back, we'll have the latest, of course, on Hurricane Matthew, and get ready for a very nice weekend here in Southwest Florida. Lower humidity in the forecast. I'll talk about that when I return.
And here's a live look at the Savannah River, where it's overcast right now. Wink News is tracking Hurricane Matthew. We'll be right back.
Bring back Wink News meteorologist Scott Zedeker for the very latest on Matthew, where the hurricane is and where it's expected to go.
Just off the coast of Jacksonville right now. Jacksonville, St. John's River right there, the river that runs right through Jacksonville. 4 feet of storm surge already, and it just keeps coming in. They have that onshore wind right now, and this is a Category 3 hurricane, still a major hurricane with wind at 115 miles an hour. It's moving to the north at 12 miles an hour. Waiting for the 5 o'clock update. That should be coming in shortly. Jim Farrow will have that coming up on Wink News at 5. There is the forecast cone. Worst case scenario still expected as it just parallels the coast. and that is just going to drive all that seawater onshore as that storm surge continues from Georgia all the way through the Carolinas, and of course hurricane force winds, some of that overlapping the beach locations. There are the model plots. Of course, a lot of folks have been talking about this kind of wrapping around and coming back for a second try. I don't think that's going to happen. If it makes it on one of these tracks, it's going to be very weak and most likely dissipating. Here are the more reliable tracks, kind of moving it off to the north and pushing it off to the north and northeast. Now, the consensus models show that. Now, we have Nicole over here as well. Nicole, a tropical storm. This is going to just sit under the high and not really moving much at all. The next couple days kind of sitting there and then moving off to the north, and you can see Matthew kind of sitting out here, eventually dissipating. Both of those systems moving off to the north. They aren't going to merge and become a superstorm or anything like that. Both separate systems, and both will be basically dissipating in the Atlantic and moving out in the Atlantic. There's Doppler radar of Matthew. There's Jacksonville, just off the coast of Jacksonville. There's the center of circulation. Luckily for the whole east coast of Florida, the strongest wind has been confined just off the coast near the center of circulation, and we never had a landfalling hurricane on the east coast, so it is just off the coast. We're talking 20-30 miles as well, so it was a very lucky situation for the east coast of Florida. Still some damage, but it could have been far worse if, of course, Matthew was riding right up Interstate 95. But you can see it is moving off to the north, but that onshore wind still pounds Savannah, Brunswick, as well as Jacksonville right now, and even up to Charleston. You can see the onshore push there, all the rain continuing to fall across the area. One report in Jacksonville, South Jacksonville, 10 inches of rain already in the last 2 days. So they're not only dealing with flooding rain, but they're dealing with that storm surge as well. There's our live Doppler radar, or I should say 1 hour time lapse. Things are quiet. They're going to remain quiet this evening. Get out and enjoy it. Breezy weather. That's really about it. A westerly breeze, 15 to 20 miles an hour under a mostly cloudy sky. Temperatures will be in the 80s. There's that onshore wind right now. We've been monitoring the tide situation as we're entering a high tide period. So we'll kind of monitor that. We were thinking maybe a foot to maybe 2 or 3 feet above average tides. But right now, we aren't really seeing any reports of any flooding at the coast. There's that onshore wind, 15 to 20 miles an hour. We had some stronger gusts as well. Gusts anywhere in the mid-20s across southwest Florida, but just breezy weather expected through the rest of the overnight period. And then tomorrow, the wind does die down. Not too bad for you boaters, but still a little choppy. A northwesterly wind, 15 knots or so, a moderate chop in the bay. Small craft advisory issued for the morning, and then we'll drop that in the afternoon. Water temperature 83 degrees off Fort Myers Beach. All right, temperature is starting off rather mild, upper 70s and low 80s due to that onshore breeze, 5 to 10 miles an hour. So that will keep the temperatures in the upper 70s. And then by the afternoon, we'll see highs back into the upper 80s and low 90s. No, just a partly cloudy sky. Could see a quick moving shower or two, but I think most of us remain dry. The breeze is right around 15 miles an hour out of the west. There's your Sunday. Sunday is looking fantastic, folks. We're going to see a few clouds expected, but the breeze more out of the north and northeast. That's going to drive in some drier weather. So as Matthew leaves us and leaves off to the north, that is bringing in some actually drier weather behind it. So look for lower humidity second half of the day Sunday, especially on Columbus Day Monday, as we start off in the 60s. Finally, we're going to kick this humidity out of here for a couple of days, at least through Tuesday. Tuesday, just a few showers expected. We'll see highs back in the mid 80s, but all in all, enjoy the weekend, folks. We need it. We've waited for it, and it's here.
Thank you, Scott. We have some brand new pictures just coming in from Tybee Island in Georgia off of Savannah. You can see those storefronts are all boarded up. Someone wrote on that sign, last one off the island, turn the lights off. We're getting reports of a lot of people staying on the island and hunkering down. Highway 80, the only way to get to Tybee from the Savannah mainland, is closed off right now. So if people did not make their way off the island before that, they're going to have to ride out the storm. And this isn't very far from Jacksonville, where Scott was just referencing Hurricane Matthew is off the coast.
Now, Hurricane Matthew could cost the U.S. economy more than $25 billion, but some analysts think it could be a lot more than that. Thousands of flights were canceled. Many restaurants and stores here in Florida and the Carolinas are closed. And for only the 4th time in its history, Walt Disney World in Orlando is closed today. And And new this hour of Wink News, about 1 in 4 of us will have a diagnosable mental illness in any given year.
And how you feel is not only costing you, but your employer as well. As Wink News anchor Teresa O'Shea explains, companies are doing something to help their employees and their bottom lines.
Stress, anxiety, or even depression can come from a hectic work environment or toxic workplace. It can lead to absenteeism, lower productivity, disability, and more, costing your company.
Probably in excess of $100 billion in terms of lost productivity and lost time from work combined.
But Paul Gianfrido, president of Mental Health America, sees hope on the horizon for employers and employees with something called telemental health.
It can be much more effective at identifying people early and getting them into services, care, supports, and treatment at a time when they can most easily recover.
Telemental health includes mobile apps that don't diagnose mental illness, but can detect a pattern or risk, then connect you to the help you need.
Our program is currently being used by large employers with over 50,000 employees, also government employers, and also many small companies as well.
But how much of that information is given to your boss? Because of privacy laws, those in charge aren't given details on individual employees, just a bigger picture.
Companies now, for the first time, can get an aggregate look of their employee base. Hey, are my women more stressed than my men, for instance? Are my young people more stressed than the people that have been around for a while?
Mental health proponents think that feedback is important. Teresa O'Shea, Wink News Now.
Experts say you don't have to go through work to use most of these apps. For more information, we'll post this story on the Wink News Facebook page. Happening tomorrow, you can help in the fight against breast cancer by taking part in the Making Strides Against Breast Cancer Walk. It's happening at Miramar Outlets in Estero. Registration starts at 7. The walk begins at 8:30. Wink News anchor Lois Tomey and Teresa O'Shea will MC the event alongside Mundo Max anchor Stephanie Becerra.
Southwest Florida is helping victims of Hurricane Matthew, and not just by opening shelters.
Straight ahead, see how one man is making a big difference in victims' lives.
Covering Hurricane Matthew, check out this video from Daytona Beach. You can see debris just blowing down the street. The hurricane caused the waves on the beach to roll in fast, flooding bathrooms at the beach. Wink News is committed to bringing you the latest information on Hurricane Matthew, so stay with us live, and we'll also bring this information to you on our Wink News Facebook page and on our Wink News app. And all new and only on Wink News, local volunteers are on their way to the East Coast tonight to help with Hurricane Matthew relief efforts.
Wink News was theirs today as they packed up their van, they left Fort Myers, and they began their journey across our state. As Wink News reporter Michelle Kingston explains, Vero Beach is their first stop to help those in need.
When someone is in need, I should be there to help them.
Hurricane Matthew continues to bring dangerous wind and pelting rain to the east coast of Florida, packing a punch on populated areas along the water. Local volunteers left Fort Myers this afternoon and are heading towards some of the areas hardest hit.
Yesterday afternoon, when it looked like a landfalling hurricane was imminent, they put out the call.
Major Tim Gilliam is leading a pack of Lee County residents heading east to help with recovery efforts. Inside the Emergency Disaster Services truck, food for 1,500 meals, bottles of water, and medical supplies.
Anytime that we can supply someone with material goods, a meal, or a hug or a handshake, it feels good.
Just within the past day, about 700 people have already registered to volunteer following Hurricane Matthew.
One of the beautiful things about being a citizen of the United States is that in times of disaster, we do come together.
These volunteers are packed for 2 weeks and are heading to Vero Beach first, a community with downed power lines, trees, and some mandatory evacuations, where many are in need.
In times of disaster, we want to be first on the scene, last to leave.
Michelle Kingston, Wink News Now.
The Salvation Army is always taking donations. They say the best way you can help hurricane victims is to donate money.
They also say your donation will go toward food, water, and supplies for people who may need it.
Let's check in with Lois Tomey for what's coming up at 5.
Well, we're working on a lot of new stories for the next hour. The National Hurricane Center releases an update on Hurricane Matthew in minutes, and we're also live in Daytona Beach with a special report. Plus, the jury is set for Matthew Marshall, the Cape Coral man accused of killing and dismembering his father. He's representing himself. We'll tell you why some of his questions confused potential jurors. Plus, new life for a beloved wildlife center in Punta Gorda. Meet the man who is donating his time and talents to make it better than ever. And an incredible voyage. Two brave souls brave Hurricane Matthew to make it to the Fort Myers Beach Pirate Fest. Wink News continues in just 90 seconds.